Feitan is one of the most interesting members of the Feitan. Unfortunately, there is not much information or participation of him in the story. Even so, we saw some interesting moments of this character that I would like to talk about. Feitan was shown as one of the strictest members of the Feitan. He was willing to let Krilo die to save the spider, not for lack of loyalty to his leader, but precisely because of such a strong loyalty to the orders of Krilo himself, he was willing to let him die. Among his companions, he seems to have a better relationship with Finks than with others, since both are strict and serious. He is cold, serious, and not very tolerant of annoyances, as when he mentioned that he disagreed with the way Krilo gave Hisoka too much freedom to skip missions. In some respects, he is quite similar to members of the Zoldyck family, to the point that there have been theories for years about the possible blood relationship between Feitan and the Zoldicks. Within the spider, Feitan's opinion has a lot of weight. From the beginning he gave the impression of having some superiority to other members. It was not an official superiority, but there was something that made him stand out. Later we learned that he was one of the original members of the Feitan, and then we saw that his power is so dangerous that multiple members of the Feitan had to run to avoid being killed. I would definitely say that Feitan is among the strongest members, maybe the second strongest, after Krilo, and not counting Hisoka. But, beyond his power level, among the first things we learned about him was that he is a master at getting information from enemies using torture. The Feitan made use of Feitan's torture abilities on different occasions, and what I found very interesting is that they fully trusted the information Feitan collected. As far as we know, this is not a Nen ability, but a purely physical one, so it is amazing that all the members, including Krilo, trust to such a degree in its effectiveness. This tells us about the degree of mastery Feitan must have, and that he probably came to this mastery of torture not only out of necessity, but also for pleasure. Feitan repeatedly showed that he chose to harm his opponents before trying other means, and we saw that he could take pleasure in these acts. When the Chimera ants invaded Meteor City, and the Feitan members decided to exterminate them, we saw Feitan meet Zazan and start a fight. Feitan was confident of his abilities. In fact, all the rest of the Feitan were equally confident and knew that Feitan was not fighting at his best at that moment. However, the moment came when Zazan managed to damage Feitan, and we saw something that caught my attention. Feitan had very little tolerance to being harmed, and I don't mean that he lacks physical resistance. What I mean is that he has little tolerance to his enemy daring to harm him, and he began to boil in fury with each damage he kept receiving, almost as if a trauma for having been harmed in the past made him unable to tolerate anyone harming him anymore. That is to say, there are many other characters that enjoy fights, that can even get pleasure when their opponent manages to damage them, since this makes the fight more fun. An example would be Hisoka, but Feitan is the opposite in that aspect. His reaction to being damaged by Zazan was of tremendous anger, and more importantly, to seek revenge immediately and in the most brutal way possible. We don't know where this reaction of Feitan's comes from, but I would speculate that it is related to his life in Meteor City, the city that was abandoned by the world and used as a garbage dump. In my Krilo video I explained that this reality of Meteor City probably inspired Krilo to form the Feitan to take revenge on the world, stealing from them and killing them at will. For that reason, I think Feitan's low tolerance for being harmed fits quite well with the same concept that created the Feitan, revenge towards all those who harmed and abandoned them. As well as zero tolerance to be harmed again by the society that dwells outside of Meteor City. Like when Uvo was killed and Krilo unleashed the Requiem to take revenge on the Mafia. More interestingly, Feitan's fury and need for revenge are not just psychological reactions. Rather, his special Nen ability is based on that. We know that Nen is directly related to the user personality and life experience. Pain Packer uses all the damage Feitan received from his enemy to form an incredibly powerful revenge attack. The more damage Feitan took, the more powerful his attack will be. I would say that this is one of the abilities of the Gene Feitan members that best represents the spirit and origin of the group, along with Krilo's ability, which allows him to steal other abilities. Also, when Feitan performed this ability and defeated Zazan, we again saw his incredible sadism, manifested with a devilish laugh, while Zazan was dying little by little. What do you think of this character? Leave me your opinion in the comments, and thank you for watching this video.